The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Let's break down the latest on Justin Fields. Is he going to take that step with the Jets? Matt O'Leary joins the show. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started. Man, our Jets are primed to win another offseason, baby. We bleed Jets green each and every day. Will the playoff drought finally end? Kings of the offseason, baby. This is what we do. At least we have Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super Chats, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinn Williams. Prepare to be underdogs. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Here we go, here on a Thursday. Welcome in, everybody. Before we bring on our guest, Matt O'Leary, reminder, if you're an Asmaniac that is coming to Tampa for our Tampa Bay Bucks, Jets-Bucks meetup, make sure you join the Patreon immediately. If you want to sit with a bunch of Jet fans, we have limited group seating available. You can see the price point on your screen. This is with fees included, so it will save you a tremendous amount of money. This is for Patreon people making the trip to Tampa. Here's an example, right? So the 200 level you see on the screen is $175, right? Well, same exact seat on SeatGeek. You could see after fees, 2 tickets, $414. So you do the math, you save a lot of money. If you do your group buy, make sure you join the Patreon, and you'll find out about all the events we have planned for Jets-Bucks weekend in September. With that said, let's say hello right now to a good friend of the show. He joins us every Thursday at this time. Matt O'Leary joins the program. Matt, happy Thursday. Can't speak. Happy Thursday. And, man, Jets OTAs in the books. There's one mini camp practice next week open for the media, and then that's it. Summer and then training camp at the end of July.
We're getting that much closer, right, Jake? Like, it feels like this has been a long offseason. We were just talking before we got started. Not as much content coming out around this football team, which might actually be a good thing when we get to September. But for us right now, it's a bit of a quiet time.
It really is. Now, there's been some buzz about Justin Fields over these last couple of weeks. It sounds like he's done a good job making it clear to his teammates he's the guy. He's earned the respect of his teammates. Aaron Glenn praised him the other day. We heard from Tanner Engstrand for the first time last week. Where are you currently at with Justin Fields? Have your expectations changed at all for what you think he could do with the Jets?
My expectations haven't changed, and I find it funny because I try to take a very measured approach, and in the same video, I've gotten comments where it's like, oh, way too positive on Justin Fields, and oh, you're way too negative on Justin Fields. So it's kind of hard to gauge where Jet fans are as a complete unit on Justin Fields, because I feel like there's a huge variance. People either think he's going to be awesome or they think he's going to stink. For me, I think what I would like to see him improve with, and I believe it was Nick Faria who had this tweeted out during one of the practices this week, that Justin Fields has been a little bit late on some of his throws. To me, I think that's the biggest thing he needs to work on. Like, we know that he has the legs. We know it's going to be a run-heavy offense, and he's made big plays and splash plays through his first 4 years in the league. But I think in order for him to be a little bit more consistent, I think he needs to start, getting the timing down a little bit. So that's something I'll be keeping an eye on as we transition from OTAs and minicamp into training camp in a few weeks.
That's been a problem of his in the past for sure. I also wonder, well, he's learning a new offense as well. So you would think it's going to take some time before he really is able to feel like he's comfortable with everything. Hopefully that happens throughout training camp. That's my thing. It's like when you're evaluating him, how much of it is, well, he's just still learning a new offense. So we gotta wait and see before we judge his processing speed. Because I'm trying to be fair to him, but at the same time, that's been the knock on him in his career.
Yeah, it's a good point, and that's hard to gauge, right? Like, is it just that's an issue that's continuing with the Jets, or is it because he's learning the new offense? I think we give him a little bit of grace, and especially early in training camp, I feel like the defense is usually a little bit further ahead than the offense is right away. So I think we need to be a little bit patient with the offense at the beginning.
This was Justin Fields when he spoke with the media the other day, being asked about the expectations for him in this offense.
I think I can be great, that's been the goal for me my whole life, my whole career. So, like I said, I think the sky's the limit, for this team, for this offense. But we do have a long way to go. Like I said, our offense and defense are new, so guys are really tuned in and locked in and trying to get everything down. But I think once we do, I think the sky's the limit. I mean, we have all the guys we need, we have all the talent, so it's really just going to come down to discipline and execution when the games come. So
I think they have enough talent to have a functional offense, but if Justin Fields takes a big step forward, that changes everything. Like, if they're just going to try and win without great quarterback play, there's a path to it if the O-line is as good as what it should be and they're able to run the ball. But for them to go out there and, be that type of offense that Fields is talking about, he himself has to improve. Like, that, to me, there's no way of disguising that in today's NFL.
No, exactly. And he's going to have to do more as a passer in order to do that. We've seen it as a rusher, and he doesn't have to light the world on fire. We're not talking about him throwing for 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns, but, we need him to hit at least, 3,200 and, 20 plus passing touchdowns. If he could do that, then I think the Jets would be in a pretty good spot here with their offense, assuming that Tanner Engstrand is as good as advertised and they have a legitimate plan offensively.
Speaking of Engstrand, this was Engstrand on calling plays for Justin Fields.
Coming from an offense where you have the prototypical pocket passer in Goff, and now you have one of the best running quarterbacks. So how is that a little out of your comfort zone? Like, what kind of transition is that for you to make that adjustment?
Yeah, I think it just opens things up more. That's all. It just adds another layer to what we can do with where we're going on offense.
I like that answer a lot. I'm hoping Tanner Engstrand has a real plan to maximize Fields and this offense, because if he's really good at his job, once again, I really do think there's a path to having a functioning NFL offense.
Yeah, I do too. And I think Tanner Engstrand, I know he hasn't called plays at the NFL level yet, but at least he has called plays as an offensive coordinator at the collegiate level. And plus, I think we maybe to an extent diminish what he did in Detroit. Like, obviously Ben Johnson's the mastermind of that offense, and that's why he got the head coaching job. But Engstrand was very involved in the installation phase of the playbook. So, he had to be the one explaining everyone's role to the quarterback, wide receivers, tight ends, the running backs, the whole thing. So assuming that he did a good job with that, which all signs indicate with how good their offense was, I think his communication is going to be really key with this Jets team now.
One more on Justin Fields. Here's the head coach, Aaron Glenn, being asked about Justin Fields.
There's things about that player. I think every coach that want those players to have, and he has this quiet confidence about himself. He leads by the way that he wants to lead. All right, his influence with the guys out there, I think you guys can see it. He can galvanize a group of men. Listen, obviously he's a talented player, and listen, I'm happy that I have him as my quarterback. I really am, because I think the sky's the limit for this player. I really do. Listen, I'm not going to go out there and say that he's the next Joe Namath or anything like that, but I will tell you what, man, he's going to be a good player for us, and I'm excited what he's going to do for us this season.
I really do think it's genuine belief in Fields. I think at first I thought maybe they're just trying to build him up, and I think that's part of it. But I think they really think they got a guy that could be their long-term answer. This regime, a lot of it comes from Detroit, where Jared Goff was thought to be a quarterback you couldn't really win with. He was just a guy at that point when he was traded for Stafford, and they resurrected his career there, and he's proven to be a franchise guy. I think they see similarities in Justin Fields as far as the former first-round pick that's flash potential but hasn't been able to put it together. I think they see that with Fields.
Yeah, I agree with you. And something to add to that is they saw a lot of Justin Fields early in his career when he was with Chicago. And
good point.
Some of his better games in Chicago were against the Detroit Lions. So, I think that plays a factor in this too. They know what he does well. And it's all about this coaching staff and the offensive staff maximizing these guys' talents, right? You don't want to put them in a spot that they're not good at. So figure out what works for Fields and the rest of this offense and improve it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard Aaron Glenn reference Joe Namath. If you missed yesterday's show, big time prize added to our upcoming AsManiac raffle. A full-sized Broadway Joe Namath autographed and authenticated helmet. Only the second time we've given out a full-sized Broadway Joe helmet. You can see the picture on the right. I tried to match it with the helmet you will receive on the left if you win. That is our top prize. Prize number 2 is a signed Walt Clyde Frazier jersey. Prize number 3 is a signed Kevin Mawai jersey. And prize number 4 is a can't wait Bart Scott autographed jersey. So gift away to be eligible, and we'll keep the trend rolling here. The first person to gift the channel membership, it's double. So if you get 5, it's 10, 10, it's 20. Gift away to be entered in our upcoming AsManiac raffle. With that said, as far as other storylines with this team, Aaron Glenn was asked about someone besides Garrett Wilson emerging in the wide receiver room, and he basically deflected the question and talked about Brees. He talked about the tight end room. He talked about how he has a lot of confidence in the wide receiver room. I mean, he's the head coach. What's he supposed to say? How do you view the weapons beyond Garrett Wilson at this point, Matt?
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be a lot of both Brees Hall and Mason Taylor used in the offense. And, you know, Taylor, I thought from all the reports has been flashing a little bit at OTAs. I would expect those two in whatever order, right? Brees and Mason Taylor to be next in the pecking order of targets. But someone does have to step up as the second wide receiver to be, you know, maybe the fourth guy in the pecking order. For me, I think it's going to be Josh Reynolds, just because he has that connection with the Lions staff a couple years ago, was essentially their wide receiver 2 in that offense. I know last year with the injury and, you know, he's on 2 different teams. He starts out in Denver and then ends up in Jacksonville. Didn't have the year that he was hoping for. But I think this staff is going to really lean on him with his experience in this offense.
You know, there's a stat about Fields that Nick Faria uncovered in that article I think you were referencing, that in the fourth quarter, Justin Fields has completed just 56.1% of his passes, which is the worst in the NFL among quarterbacks, with at least 200 fourth quarter passing attempts over that span. That's where I think the lack of weapons on the outside could really hurt the Jets if someone doesn't emerge, because you could like scheme your way through the first couple of quarters, but like when the game's tight late and you need your quarterback to go out there and make plays, that's where the processing comes into play. That's where all the things we were talking about needing to improve come into play. And that's why I still think they're a wide receiver short, no matter how they want to describe utilizing Brees Hall or utilizing the tight ends. Like Mason Taylor could be awesome, but he's a rookie, so you're asking a lot for him to come in and be that guy. I just feel like they should still look to add another wide receiver, but I don't think they're going to.
I don't think they're going to either, but I do think that's a valid concern that you have, right? When it comes to crunch time in the fourth quarter, and you know that whether it's a tight game or you're down and trying to throw your way back into it, it makes it a little bit easier for defenses to defend. And if you don't have the players, like, someone's got to win their matchup. They're going to double team Garrett Wilson. You know, obviously Brees and Mason Taylor are 2 guys who'll be, you know, heavily focused, but can Josh Reynolds get back to what he was a couple years ago? Can Allen Lazard have success in an offense without Aaron Rodgers? Is, you know, Arian Smith or Malachi Corley going to take a step? There's a lot of question marks, but as Aaron Glenn mentioned, and as what we're saying here, somebody's going to have to step up in that role.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was a race to be first, but the winner and getting their memberships doubled is a man whose birthday was yesterday. Rick Kent gifted 5. We're doubling it for 10 raffle entries, but give it up for our guy, the great, the birthday man himself, Rick Kent.
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Also, a huge shout out to Anthony and Mike. They gifted 5 a pop, so we got 15 names to rattle off. Thank you, guys. We'll get you all in that raffle. Matt Shaw, Slaps, Nicholas Rocca, Alexander Brown, James Fustel, J-Rod, Jonathan Opas, E-Rock Polk, Allen still has gonorrhea, Austin, Bishop Judas, Bobby Fuzzy Nuts, Lou Rodriguez, Izzy Blanco, Nate, I put your ass in timeout for 5 minutes, Hector NYC, Chris Grasso, all receiving channel memberships from Rick, Anthony, and Mike. As far as Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner go, Matt, what are your thoughts on extensions for those guys? Do you see it getting done? Has anything changed since the last time we spoke about this a week ago?
No, I don't think so. And I know Jeremy Fowler on your show with Connor Long kind of said that they started the negotiations, and that's a good thing in my eyes. I wouldn't wait on either of those. We saw the cornerback market really explode this offseason with the contracts that were given out to JC Horn as well as Derek Stingley. So that price is only going to continue to go up for Sauce. And for Garrett, I think his market's kind of already been established with what like a Brandon Ayuk got last year, right around $30 million. So I would be good with signing both those guys. I think it sets a precedent for this organization. If you come in and you do your job, as a rookie and a player on their rookie contract, you're going to be rewarded with with an extension. And I think they both deserve it. They've both been very good. And, you want to build around this young talent that you have.
I agree with you. I just feel like Sauce's contract is easier to get done than Garrett's deal, but I'd rather pay Garrett over Sauce if I can only pay one of them, because I think Sauce is coming off a down year, and I just want to make sure he fully bounces back with Glenn. I'd pay both of them, but if I can only pick one, I'd lean Garrett. But I think Garrett has the more difficult negotiation, because what does he want? Stat-wise, he doesn't have the numbers that he probably should have because of how poor the quarterback situation and play caller situation has been around him. So it's a very complicated negotiation, I think, with him.
Yeah, it is. It feels more copy paste with Sauce Gardner, and you're using Derek Stingley as the new point. And, at least for Sauce, like, you could make the argument that he's the number one corner in the NFL. I know PFF just did that this past week. Garrett, I love him, but I don't think you could make the case that he's a top wide receiver in the NFL right now. That's not to say that he's bad. He's right around, to me, borderline a top 10 wide receiver. And he's likely to get paid more than that, but it's a little bit more projecting with Garrett Wilson. You're paying him in the hopes that he's going to continue to get better. And if the quarterback play improves, that the numbers will follow. With Sauce, at least you have those two all pros you could bank on.
Hit the like button, comments, questions, super chats. They will cut the line, folks. Our committee chairman officially has his own channel emoji. The Boomtown emoji is now live for all Asmaniac channel members to enjoy. Shout out to Addison for the design. Congrats to Boomtown. A well-deserved honor for someone who contributes immense amount of great content for our show. Matt, I want your take on something. I was on Reddit earlier, and I stumbled upon this comment, and I think my audience has every right to be offended. So there was a post in the anti-work group about 1 in 4 Americans are functionally unemployed, researcher says. And then some fellow by the name of Dr. Jenkins wrote, and most of them call into the Jake Asman show.
That's ridiculous. I don't know who this Dakota Jenkins is, but I don't like this at all. I think we should be offended. And as someone who comes on the Jake Asman show weekly, I am offended. I don't like this. We have great callers on this show.
Look, the idea that my audience doesn't have jobs is partially true if you're talking about the people that were number 1 seeds in Asmaniac Madness. But I take great offense to everybody else that has jobs, and this Dr. Jenkins guy is saying they don't have jobs.
It's ridiculous now. Come on, Dr. Jenkins, get with the program.
Now, I'm being told that the man who wrote this comment is actually on the line. Ladies and gentlemen, is it true? Barbarossa, this is you?
Yes, that was me. I cannot fucking believe you found that.
Oh, man.
No way. What is this? What is this?
I just thought it'd be really funny. I don't know. I mean, it may or may not be true. But, oh, man, that's hilarious, dude. Oh, my God.
That's great. I can't believe that's you. You're Dr.
I will,
Jenkins
next
on
time,
Reddit?
if anybody doesn't believe me, I'll show you my Reddit. I'll show you the Reddit. I can bring up the comment next thing I'm at. Absolutely. I'll show anybody that doesn't believe me.
That's amazing. Dr. Jenkins is Barbarossa.
Oh man. All right. Well, that's that. I think I've said my 2 cents for today, but you guys are great. Take care, y'all.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jenkins, aka Barbarossa, on the line. That's amazing. I can't believe he called in. I can't believe that was him.
Yeah, he just called in and was like, yep, that was me. Love it.
Oh my God. Wow. Barbarossa, thank you for the entertainment. Here's a comment, a super chat from Bang Mateo, who says starting 2 green OTs is a bad recipe. Growing pains. Bang. Would you rather the Jets start Olu Fashanu and Armand Membu or start Carter Warren and Max Mitchell? You tell me. By the way, Olu was on the team last year. He played and played well when he was out there as a starter. Armand Membu was the 7th pick in the draft. The expectation is that he's going to be better than anyone else you could have added in free agency or currently in-house. So at the bare minimum, you're getting, we would think, average tackle play at both spots. So tell me why this is somehow a bad thing.
Yeah, I don't get this one. Especially with how Olu played last year. You have a slight case because Armand Membu, we haven't seen him in the NFL yet, but we saw Olu last year and he was good. He was better than whatever version of Tyron Smith we saw last year. I don't get this one, Bang. I really don't.
I mean, Bang, you just complain about everything. Like, if they didn't take Armand Membu, you'd be complaining about whoever the right tackle was, that they suck. Because that was what was going to happen here. If you look at how the draft ended up playing out, those who wanted tight end at 7, you look at the other options when the Jets came around to pick again at 42 and then even 73, it was slim pickings there. So you were always going to start a rookie or a journeyman at right tackle, which is crazy.
Yeah, would you rather Chuck Okorafor in that spot?
God. Come on, man. And also, I think what helps the O-line, and specifically, I think what helps a guy like Membu transitioning to being an NFL player, 4 of the 5 offensive linemen played together last year. So there is some continuity with at least 4 of the 5 guys. It should be a lot easier to input a rookie at right tackle when the other 4 guys are comfortable playing with each other. That sounded wrong, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. But the continuity is very important on an offensive line. And, last time the Jets offensive line was good in 2009 into 2010, they had a lot of continuity with that unit. They were together for a few years, most of them. So, I'm not really worried about the offensive line. I actually think it's going to be a strength on this team.
The reason why I said what I said was I haven't been able to erase this nightmarish comment from Allen out of my memory, Matt.
I did not see this one. That's phenomenal. Sorry, Allen.
No, don't apologize. He's a bum. He deserves it. Anyway, if you have a question for Matt or me or a comment on anything going on with the Jets or the NFL, write it in and we will bring it up on the screen. What have you made about some of the buzz about Arian Smith, Matt? Are you a believer in Arian Smith being the Jets' next great day 3 draft selection?
I want to be, but I would like to wait until they're in pads before I get there. I'm happy that he's playing well in OTAs. He should. With his speed and without pads, this is exactly the kind of time where he should be showing off, which is great. If it continues into training camp and we're seeing him and he's noticeable in preseason games, then maybe I'll start to get on board at that point.
I just don't buy the idea that he's going to be the number 2 wide receiver at some point this year. That would be shocking to me.
That would be shocking to me too. I don't see it. I hope that's the case because it makes our lives easier. As we were talking about, there's no true number 2 wide receiver on this team, but I think that's asking a lot, especially when you consider the Jets drafting history in the mid rounds at the position.
100%. Is there anyone else in that room that gives you some confidence? I know you brought up Josh Reynolds before. What did you make of Glenn talking about Corley? Do you have any faith in Xavier Gibson? Pokey Wilson apparently had an unbelievable catch at OTAs the other day. Is there anything that caught your attention in that room in general?
I did like the quotes from Aaron Glenn on Malachi Corley. As another one where I don't think he's going to be the number 2 receiver, but as a gadget, 4th or 5th option, I think that's fine. Hopefully they're kind of just working on getting him the ball in space. I mean, I know he dropped the ball on the 1-yard line, but we did see some flashes of that last year and then we never saw him again. So I'm not saying I have crazy high expectations for Malachi Corley, but it would be nice to see if they're getting him involved and finding a plan to use him and get the most out of his talent.
How do you feel about Steve Wilkes? He spoke for the first time the other day as well. I enjoyed his press conference. I thought that he kind of did exactly what I thought he would do as far as being that veteran former head coach presence. And I think he's going to add a lot to this coaching staff and help Glenn. What were your impressions hearing from Wilkes for the first time?
Yeah, I came away with the same thing that you did. I think, they need a veteran on this staff, and I think he fits that well. Glenn, first-time head coach, first-time offensive coordinator. Wilkes is a veteran DC. He's been an interim head coach and a head coach for a year in Arizona. I think he's going to be a good fit for this Jets defense. I know stylistically maybe a little different than Glenn. Glenn's more of a man coverage guy, and Steve Wilkes has run a lot of zone, but I do appreciate having someone on the staff who's been around the block a few times and could help along a rest of the staff that's a little bit on the younger and inexperienced side.
I'm going to play you my favorite moment of the Wilkes presser. Here's Steve Wilkes with an interesting back and forth with Rich Cimini of ESPN.
With Sauce, they've been predominantly a zone team the last few years. With his unique skill set because of his length, how would he translate? Everyone's presuming he'll probably play more man this year.
Why are they presuming that?
Well, AG is a man coach.
Okay.
I think you've done a lot of blitzing in your past, if I'm not mistaken. If that comes to be, how could he make that? What would that transition be like for him?
As I mentioned earlier, man, he's smart. He sees it from a different lens. I was just talking to our in-house people upstairs and explaining this, that very highly intelligent, understands the game. So I think he would be able to transition well from a standpoint of man, zone, whatever we're trying to do. We always emphasize in the defensive room our weapons, eyes, hands, hips, and feet, regardless of the call. That's what we got to perfect, and he does a great job of that. And I think everything is predicated off our opponents. Each week it may be a little different, zone eyes, getting the ball out quick, making plays on the ball, being physical at the line of scrimmage, trying to take certain guys away, tighten things up so the D-line can get there. So it's going to fluctuate in how we play.
A coach talking about an opponent game plan that's specific for who they're playing that week. What a novel concept.
Yeah, I like it. Not being stubborn to just, we're going to do it our way and that's it, and you're going to have to like it. I really like the answer. I thought it was, that was the key point to me, was that it's going to depend on who they're playing. What's the issue with Cimini and this staff? I always feel like it's either Aaron Glenn or now Steve Wilkes who's going back at him a little bit.
I like the, why do people say that? I just like that very firm, just checking him, being like, where'd you get that from? I'm curious what your answer is going to be there. I mean, it's good to hear. And I'll say this about Sauce. If they are going to pay him, which I think ultimately they will, let's let him travel. This team should be playing a lot more man now. If you're going to invest that kind of money in a corner, get your money's worth. Let Sauce Gardner travel against the team's best receiver on way more than they did the first couple of years of his career in the solid defense.
Yeah, he should. Way too talented not to, honestly, I think, because that's his strength, man.
Are you getting emotional about the thought of Sauce Gardner traveling?
I don't know what it is. My allergies are still acting up. I thought by Memorial Day weekend I'd be done, but just tickle in the throat. And yeah, a little emotional thinking about Sauce Gardner traveling, reminding me of Darrelle Revis in my younger years watching this football team.
Well said. Bino with a super chat. Sauce got more moves than U-Haul. He'll be fine. I do think Sauce is going to bounce back and have a big year.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm not worried about it. I know I had a few comments on a video I did recently about extending Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, and some people are against it because Sauce had the down year. But to me, that was the outlier season. The 2 All-Pros is kind of the expectation. So I'm not really concerned about him going into year 4.
Bang Mateo says the delusion is too much today. How are we being delusional, Bang? Because we said that we're confident about the 7th pick in the draft being good. Find me someone that was not high on Armand Membu. And Olu played well last year. So, you want us to come here and say we think the O-line's going to suck if we don't believe it? The O-line should be a pretty good unit at the bare minimum. They've invested enough in it for it to be good. That makes us delusional. Also, I love this comment from Black Gypsy. Bang, say something positive about the Jets. I promise it won't hurt you.
I don't think it's possible. I've never seen a positive comment from him.
Oh, my God. It's amazing, man. There's nobody worse than Bang Mateo. Honestly, he is the worst of the worst. And he never calls in and shows his face for a reason. Sad.
Shame.
Real sad. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Quick break because we're presented today by The Perfect Gene.
Trust me, you'll never go back to your Levi's after you try these. The Perfect Gene is known for its unique denim fabric that stretches for comfort when you're on the go.
I want to feel comfortable in my jeans. The Perfect Gene provides a size for everyone.
You can literally choose the color, style, and size. It doesn't get any easier than buying these jeans.
Do yourself a favor and stop wasting money on jeans that you'll stop wearing after one wash. Get the Perfect Gene.
All right, I got my perfect jeans right here, people. All right. I want to save you all money. 15% off, code ASMAN15. Look good for the summer. All right. Make sure you have comfortable fabric that you're rocking with. Perfect Jean. They have sizes for anyone, little, small, big fella, little fella, you name it. They have it. Once again, they offer free shipping, free returns, free exchanges. All you need to do is use that code ASMAN15 at checkout. Please support our show, support our sponsor. F your khakis. Get a new pair of jeans from the Perfect Jean. All the info is linked in the description, and it will be the pinned comment after we wrap up the show. That's the perfectjean.nyc, and then use code ASMAN15 at checkout. Shout out to the Perfect Jean for sponsoring today's show. Let's bring Matt back with us here. Open phone lines for anyone who wants in on the conversation. So let's head to the Gusbuster Umbrella Hotline right now. And first up today is someone that we love, we respect, and we debate where he's calling us from, inside or outside.
What's up, gentlemen? How are you?
Mr. Clifton.
So I'm a little surprised, Jake, to hear you characterize Bang as the absolute worst, because I thought that the personal animosity between you and Alan was at an all-time high.
Well, the thing with Alan is, at least Alan has showed his face before and has called in. Bang Mateo is just, a YouTube commenter warrior, Twitter fingers, YouTube fingers, however you want to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, the positive comments are rare. I'll say that. Also, I had to look up what the functional unemployed was. I didn't know exactly what that meant, functional unemployed, because, I call in and I'm from home a lot, and it might appear that I'm unemployed. I am not. So I wanted to make sure that I wasn't falling into that one of four Americans, and I was quite relieved to find out that I did not. So
I appreciate you letting us know what it means, because I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, apparently it means that they're unable to find a job, or it means like absolutely unemployed and unable to find a job is the way I read it, and that might be wrong, but that's the gist of it. But Barbarossa was giving me anxiety first thing this morning when I saw it on the Patreon.
That's pretty funny.
So about Malachi Corley, like I feel like this administration is giving him an opportunity, but to hear you can't make the club in the tub right out of the bat and this is the second time that he's kind of making a bad first impression with the coaching staff. It's not great. It's not great for Malachi Corley. And, I've seen it. I've seen the college highlights. I saw some things that I liked in the last preseason. I think there's physical talent there. I'm just wondering whether he's got his head screwed on straight, or if this is just more like he's got to be in the absolute right system, or he's not taking to a pro system. I don't know what the problem is here, and I'm hoping that they're going to be able to get something out of him this summer and get to a point where he can be at least playable as a gadget guy. And for a third round pick, I guess that's really where you find those types of guys, starting in the third round. You can really find them in the fourth and fifth rounds for skill players, but he's kind of been a disappointment the way that he was trumpeted by the Douglas and Saleh people as being, no matter what, they had to go up and get him. It's put up or shut up time for Malachi Corley. I think he's going to make the team, but after this year, all bets are off.
I don't even know if he's going to make the team. It wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't.
Yeah, I'm with Jake on that one too. It's something that makes me nervous is, as Kyle was saying, that the new staff hasn't seen him yet, number one, and they don't have any ties to him. They're not the guys that drafted him a year ago.
Right. I just think he's too physically talented to give up on in year two. and that might be his saving grace. But this grace isn't. It doesn't go on forever. And hopefully we'll see him start to take some positive steps towards getting a second contract and making an impact in the league this summer and in the fall. I appreciate your time, guys.
Kyle, excellent call as always. I like Corley could definitely make the team. It wouldn't be shocking, but I'm also not going to be surprised if he doesn't, because it's something you alluded to. This regime didn't pick him. He's not practicing right now, so he's seemingly behind the 8 ball. And they kind of have a guy in Arian Smith that the way they've described what he could do sounds a lot like how they would ideally want to use Corley. It's like a gadget guy, uses speed. I always thought Corley should have been used on kickoffs, because the kickoff to me is like a long run play. And this guy was dynamic with the ball in his hands, at least in college, as the Yak King. But I don't have a whole lot of faith in Corley being any good, because the previous regime sucked at drafting day 3 offensive players. So why am I supposed to think that Aaron Glenn and Tanner Engstrom are going to work magic with this guy? I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah, and Arian Smith is their own guy that they took, and they already mentioned him being involved in punt and kick return. And I think that would mean that he's surpassed Corley on the depth chart, fair or not, because he's injured, right? He's not able to practice right now, which is tough, but you got to be available. And unfortunately, it's a what have you done for me lately league, and we haven't seen it with him in the NFL.
Ladies and gentlemen, a super chat from the Boomtown, who says, thank you, Jake. Shout out to Addison. A big thank you to all the AsManiacs for the Edgemo. Best fan base, best community, all the love. That's right. The Boomtown Edgemo is now live for all channel members.
It's Jets, Jets. I love Fireman Ed, too.
Hell yeah. Open phone lines for those of you who want in on the conversation. It appears like Beast Breaker is there, but his camera is not on. So who knows what Beast is up to. One of the things I thought was an interesting comment the other day was Aaron Glenn talking about the tight end room, raving about Mason Taylor. And then when he was asked about Jeremy Rucker, he says there's a lot of meat off the bone. And he talked about how he thinks he could play a role for the Jets. Have you lost all hope on Rucker, or do you still think he could make something of his Jet career now going into his 4th season?
There's a sliver of hope, but I'm going in with low expectations. And if he does anything, then great. What really disappointed me last year with Rucker was it seemed like his blocking took a really big step back. And I think that would be his big use in this offense.
You're getting emotional about Jeremy Rucker as well.
I get it.
He's a Long Island guy. Yeah.
Hits.
Battle Larry, battling through the allergies to be a part of the show. Quick PSA. We talked about the Tampa Bay Bucks game. For those of you who want to join us for our group buy game, we're doing Jets Panthers October 19th. You have till next Friday to lock in your spot, and then we tell the Jets how many tickets we need. Use the link in the description. We'll be in section 129. Every ticket you buy, you save about $60 off what the non-group buy face value is. So we'll get you a deal there. We'll get you a deal on a tailgate. So it's going to be a great experience. Same concept for anyone who joined us at the Texans event on Halloween last year. Tailgate before the game, all sitting in the same section during the game. And then for this game, since it's a 1 o'clock game, we have 45 field passes initially. First 45 people to buy tickets are guaranteed a field pass. We're working on getting more, but go now if you definitely want to go on the field with you and your family after the game. Let's continue with your calls right now. We go international for this next one. Jason's in Jerusalem, and he joins us now. Hello, Jason.
Hey, Jake. Hi, Matt. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Hearing what you guys are saying, first of all, this whole thing with Corley is reminding me a lot of Denzel Mims once Adam Gase left, that he was basically useless. And he got sick from the salmon and wasn't practicing and everything. And it just seems like the same story, just different cast of characters.
When does the food poisoning for Malachi Corley happen? Then it's really Denzel Mims.
Oh, maybe that's why he's out. He just was too embarrassed to say. I mean, who knows?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
I think Rutgers is going to make a bigger impact than Corley. I could see Corley being flipped for like a conditional 7th for somebody who would have drafted him last year, who still sees his potential type thing. But the idea that Rucker has his college QB and somebody who he had a rapport with, I think really bodes well for him and his staying power on the team. What are your thoughts?
I do think it helps. I just think Rucker needs to produce, though, Matt. Right? Like, like he's gonna have to make enough plays where they feel comfortable carrying him on the team.
Yeah, and the drop issues last year was something that I don't think anyone really likes to see. I always thought, coming out of school before he was even drafted, I thought he was maybe even underutilized as a pass catcher, and I thought that the first couple years. But last year they threw him the ball a decent amount, and there were drop issues. So it's something that he's got to work on and get better at. And supposedly, according to the coaching staff, he's working hard and looking better this year.
But drafting Thomas shows us that they're not concerned as much with drop issues because they think that's coachable.
That's true.
I truly hope that Rucker can surprise us because it's such a great story. Like, we're all obviously rooting for him, but he's been in the NFL 3 years and he hasn't scored a touchdown yet.
Well, there's your Denzel Mims right there. I mean, anyway.
Mims had the big 2-point conversion in the Jets' close loss that almost blew the #1 pick at the time to the Raiders, for those who remember that game.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Hey, when is Ruggs available in free agency?
When does he get out of prison? I don't know his sentence.
Be a long time.
It wasn't become like, parole in 7 or something like that because he took a deal? It wasn't outrageous.
I don't know.
I mean, I do expect Goodell to ban him afterwards because it would not be a good look for the NFL considering how horrific those crimes were and some of the stories that came out. So, but I mean, we've seen other things with, was it Dante Stallworth, who committed vehicular homicide, sat out a year and came in? Was that the guy?
I don't know.
Remember.
Also, you're going down a dark rabbit hole today, Jason.
Oh man, what can I say? I mean, it's a dark day here.
Oh no.
I mean, well, Isles have a GM and they're gonna be drafting soon, and Mets have so far taken 2 out of 3 in LA, and
love it.
It's It's wonderful waking up and starting to watch the game in the 6th inning, especially those games.
Yeah, that's right. The West Coast is great for you.
I love it. One of my favorite actually was going on MLB.com and seeing that Kershaw was having a no-hitter, and then tuning in and seeing Vince Scully call the last 2 innings once. I mean, you can't get better than that, hearing Vince Scully calling a no-hitter.
Yeah, I love Vince Scully. It's a shame that he's no longer with us. That was a sad night. I was coming back actually from a Yankee game when I got the news that he passed away. I'll never forget it.
Legend.
Yeah, I mean, grew up with him. He always had the Saturday baseball games and the NBC games, and believe it or not, he called the catch. He used to do CBS football. The catch, Montana to Dwight Clark. That was his call.
It was.
And I know I'm going to say something that you probably consider blasphemous, but John Sterling, his greatest call was Rick Camp. It had nothing to do with the Yankees.
His greatest call was what?
The Rick Camp home run when the Mets and Braves had that 19-inning game when the pitcher hit it.
I've heard that call. Yeah. I thought you were going to say something about his Long Island Nets days.
Oh, Long Island Nets. I mean, that's before my time. My father actually was at the last ABA game with Dr. J and the Long Island Nets.
Well, I'll tell you what, John Sterling, he was there, baby.
He was there. He did Isles as well.
That's right.
Let's go Islanders, Jason.
Let's go Isles. Hopefully, who do you have for the first pick? Not the hometown kid.
I don't think it's going to be Higgins. I think Matthew Schaefer, the defense.
Yeah, it's going to be the D. Okay. And they should be on D. All right. Keep well, guys, and enjoy the OTAs.
You get the fuck out.
Jason, thank you very much. Matt, I want to fill you in on something.
Okay.
Yesterday, I received the official invite list to Little Joey's birthday party on June 12th. Little Joey is Beastbreaker's guinea pig.
Okay.
And here was the initial list. Mr. Bonesy, Jake Asman, Zach Asman, Dave Briga, Rick Kent, Purple Belt Mike, Thunderlips, Neil, Big Fella, Paganardi, Gator, Boomtown, Frank P, Bino, Rich, King Lowski, and Charles. Mr. Beasley's lawyer, Alan, Bang Mateo, Joshua R.A., Frankie Wazera, Israel, and Bobby Beasley were not invited to Little Joey's birthday party. Now, yesterday after the show, I received another invite list of people that made the cut. Peter Castro was invited, Bobby Midnight, Thomas Chawalk, Addison, TV's Doug Gusto, Daz, Mark Ferrero, Connor Long, Chris Grasso, Josh Woodland, and Jack Talks Jets. You were not invited to this point, Matt. Your reaction?
Yeah, what the hell? I was going through these names looking for where Matt O'Leary would come up, and unfortunately not on the invite list. I'm not on the banned list, so I guess I'm in limbo, which I'll take being in limbo than being banned.
Now, here's the thing. Peter Castro was very upset that he wasn't invited initially, but now he's been invited. But Peter Castro in the comments was going, Lord as, am I invited? Answer, you fool. So did Peter Castro just basically uninvite himself with this comment?
Maybe we could swap spots. Maybe I go in Peter's spot instead.
Thunderlips writes in, I never felt like more of a loser than when I explained to my wife about the list for the Guinea Pigs birthday party. I got the biggest eye roll. You made the cut, Thunderlips. I mean, what can we say? You did it.
What a crew. That would be a great party.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think the Beast is actually with us now, so maybe we could get you invited to this party. Let's head out to our Gustbuster Umbrella hotline and find out. Beast, you're at BK?
Yeah, I'm at BK getting a drink.
Oh,
Water.
God. The internet's going to be brutal. I thought you didn't like Burger King. You went on a whole rant about it.
I just needed the water. That's why I got here.
You just needed a water, right? I see.
Okay.
You know, in the words of the not talking, time for me to get ready to go to work.
What are you doing for work today?
You know, cutting grass.
Cutting grass, all right.
So no, it's anything else. Enough talking. Get back to work. Back to work. And Mallory, you're in.
Let's go. I'm in. I'll take
You're
it.
in. You're in.
Matt's invited?
All right, enough talk. Yeah, he's in.
Okay.
All right, enough talk. Back to work. Get back.
All right, back to work. Beast goes.
That's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Beast Breaker.
There he goes.
666. Look at him. And there he's good. And there he goes. Wow. Man.
I'm glad I made the list now. I feel a lot better.
Yeah, I'm glad you're coming. I couldn't tell you how it works or what the dress code is, if this thing is actually just only on an Instagram live or is Beast going to call in? I don't know. But we'll figure it out, and I'm glad you're going to be there.
Yeah, let me know the details so I can clear my schedule.
Tyrone with a super chat. This $10 super chat is 2 raffle entries. I know they have to talk up the team, but this year, for first in many years, I'm going in with no expectations. So in the end, I'm not depressed. Go Jets. I've heard a lot of fans say this. The problem is, once the losing starts, you're going to be angry. Or if they get off to a good start, you're going to be hooked back in. And then if they collapse, like what happened in 2022, it's still going to hurt just as much. So I think it's easy to say this now in June, but by the time the season rolls around, we all know how we are as crazy fans.
Yeah, in week 1 against the Steelers, you're not going to be rooting like hell if they're, I don't know, 16-13, Jets are down 3. They got the ball, 2.5 minutes to go, drive the field, and either tie the game or win the game. I think we're all going to be on the edge of our seats at that point. So I appreciate what Tyrone's trying to say. Like, you got to have maybe temper your expectations, but it's hard to go into a season like that.
Let's see. Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line. Eli writes in, that's the best mindset to have. Expect to be disappointed. If they somehow are competitive late, then that's great. I get that, but like in the moment as we're watching these games, I can't sit back and be like, well, you know, whatever happens, you know, my expectations were low anyway. Like I dedicate too much of of my life to watching this team and following this team. Like I want to win games.
Yeah, it's been way too many losing seasons in a row. They gotta find a way to get over the hump one of these years.
Bino with a super chat. Jacob, unfortunately, June 12th is also my pet rock Skip's birthday. Also, and I'm taking him to Wiggles to see lovely ladies. Hey, well, you know what? Happy birthday to Skip. Love. We honor all forms of life on this show for birthday celebrations, including pet rocks.
Pet rocks count.
All rocks matter. All pets matter.
Yes, that's right.
Let's see. Nimar says, Jake, since the Suns hired Jordan Otts, do you think the Knicks hire Johnny Bryant? That's who I think they're going to hire. I would love to be wrong, and they hire someone who's not a first-time coach, but I think that's who the Knicks will ultimately end up hiring. Ladies and gentlemen, a Bills fan checks in. JC716. Big fan of the show, Jake, even though I'm a Bills fan. Very entertaining. Well, thank you, JC. I appreciate that. We do welcome all fans here, even though I don't like your team, but I respect the comment and the super chat. So we've had this guy, I don't know if you've been following the saga. There's this Patriots fan that's been a regular viewer of the show. He goes by the name of 6 Rings, Patriots 12 is his YouTube name. And he came in guns blazing, taking shots at the Jets. And he immediately walked it back the next time because he couldn't handle the heat from the comment section. But he keeps coming back for more. So it's a fascinating conundrum that he finds himself in.
Interesting. He can't get enough, though. I don't know what that's about. You figure he gets, Jet fans rake him over the coals once he goes away, but he's coming back for more. That's impressive.
Yeah, the amount of non-Jet fans that tune into the show, it always fascinates me.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the 1 seeds, or not all of them, but a lot of the 1 seeds in this Asmaniac Madness.
No, I think none of the 1 seeds are Jet fans.
That's crazy.
Cheats fan. Well, actually,
Yep.
Gorman's a Jet fan.
Yeah, Gorman's a Jet fan.
Although there are some accusations that he's a Patriots fan, but those are unsubstantiated.
I don't believe that for a second. I'll have my guy Charles back on that.
Now, did you hear about or did you see anything from the shaving debacle that happened on Memorial Day?
No, can I please get the update on that?
Yeah, so long story short, Charles Gorman used a machete to shave his face or his neck and didn't look great.
There you go. Don't move.
Oh, shit. You're not kidding.
It was bad.
Oh, my God.
He also now lives on his own in a efficiency apartment.
Yes.
And many are questioning whether or not he's equipped to do such a thing.
Well, after the shaving incident, I think that's a fair oh, God, man.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
This is unedited. This is what it looked like live on the air that day.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I'm rooting for Charles. I think it's great. that's a great poster. Oh, my God. That's got to be a Gator one, right?
These are all Gator creations.
Okay, yeah. I'm glad that he's out on his own. I think the last time I was on was the move. He was moving or in the process of getting his grandma's couch, something like that. But not the update I was hoping for, that he nearly sliced his neck off.
Hey, for those of you that tuned in, so Charles called in yesterday to basically try and promote his stream, breaking down the debate, who'd win in a fight, Batman or Bruce Lee. To anyone who watched that stream, all 7 of you, how did it go? Let me know.
Who was he making the case for? Do we know?
I think he was going to make the case for Batman.
Yeah, I think I'd be on the Batman side of this one too.
I heard it was electric though. Shout out to Charles. Hopefully he gains a ton of new subscribers after that call yesterday. Oh, Anthony, I missed your super chat. Thank you for the heads up here. You're in the raffle for 2, by the way. Matt, I'm still concerned about the Jets defense stopping the run. Is there a big boy in camp, or is there someone we could get to fill the gap? Seems like Alan Woods left. It's been a huge problem. Alan Woods. Who's Al Woods.
Yeah. I don't know if there's someone else out there available on the interior that they're gonna grab at this point. I get the concern though. I think what they should do is maybe blitz a little bit more to mitigate some of the issues on the interior defensive line outside of Quinnen Williams, but they need someone to step up, whether it's, Noddy from the Chiefs or Cowart, who supposedly had a good OTAs who they signed from the Bears. Someone needs to step up, and Will McDonald putting on weight to, get up 15 pounds should help in the run game too. But that is a legitimate concern from Anthony, I would say.
I definitely think their ability to stop the run could be a problem. It also could be a lot better than it was last year, right? Like, might not be elite, but can Will McDonald adding weight help when Jermaine is back? He's really good against the run. He's an all-around defensive end. Can that help? Yes. Quinn has said he was very unhappy with how he performed against the run, and he made it his goal to work on that all offseason. I like hearing that from one of the leaders of this team. I think they'll be better at stopping the run than a lot of people think. I'm not saying they're going to be elite at it, but I think the defense is going to be a strength of this team because I think they're going to basically be coached better. They have a lot of talent that Wilkes and Glenn are inheriting. Wilkes talked about that at the press conference the other day.
Yeah, the coaching staff and the scheme should help mitigate it. I'm not saying it's going to be the best run defense in the league, but they really struggled with it last year. I think scheme was a big issue. Guys like Javon Kinlaw and Hassan Reddick kind of freelancing out there doing their own thing didn't help. So With a mix of the coaching improvement and just, the shuffling of the deck a little bit on who's going to be out there in the rotation, I'm hoping helps.
It should. The question I think is going to be, can they force more turnovers? Because that was such a problem last year. Other than Brandon Echols, no Jet had an interception in a game until Sauce had the one off Mac Jones in the Jaguar game when the season was long gone at that point.
Yeah, they gotta find a way, man. Maybe it's Andre Sisco on the back end of the defense hauling in a couple picks. Maybe Brandon Stevens learns to turn around and find the ball. Somebody's got to find a way to get some passes.
There's a comment here from Peter Castro. Jake, no negativity, please. I find this incredibly rich because Peter Castro's all in on Justin Fields. He's the biggest Fields truther out there. He loves Glenn, this and that. He's so confident. But what is that based on, Peter? The Jets have been awful. They have missed the playoffs for 15 years. They have not won more than 7 games in a decade. So I can't just be blindly optimistic. I could be cautiously optimistic, but I just think it's also funny because this is the same guy who is known for rants like this one.
Our coaching staff stinks. The team is never prepared. They're undisciplined. They make a million mistakes, and the coaching staff is terrible. He doesn't know what he's doing. Hackett and him are like having 2 drug addicts on the sidelines. They're no good. And if Rodgers doesn't fix this, we're all going to kill ourselves. What happens after Rodgers? They have no plan for that. It's going to be 10 more years of being a shit.
Amazing.
An all-timer. I love that rant.
And also, in that rant, he says it's going to be 10 more years of being for shit if Rodgers doesn't save us. Well, Rodgers couldn't save us, but it's not even a year of being for shit. It was like a month because once they hired Aaron Glenn, he was up Mr. Positive.
We're all in on Aaron Glenn. That's it, man. He's going to be the reincarnation of Bill Parcells.
We've had a lot of great Jet fan in hell clips like this one.
Disgusting franchise that masquerades themselves as an NFL football team. I hate this team. I hate them. I hate them.
And this one.
This Jet fan base is full of chickens. Who gives a shit about next year's draft? If you guys are not going to fly like eagles and throw some goddamn balls, get the hell off the chat and go hang out with Charles Gorman and his mother eating some chicken soup. I'm tired of this shit.
Love it.
Mrs. Gorman catching strays from Neil.
JC716 writes in, I'm an older guy, no hate in this jersey swap era. JC, we appreciate you tuning in.
Thank you, JC.
But I do hate the Bills, JC. I can't lie to you. But
I'm tired of them.
Yeah, you're a better man than me to not have hate in your heart, JC, but I have a tremendous amount of hate in my heart. Dre writes in, leave Peter Castro alone. He's trying something new. Be supportive, Jake. I'm all about it, Dre. I just would like to remind people that it's rich for Peter Castro to yelling at someone to only be positive. I tried to be positive the last couple of years. Didn't work.
Peter's turned a new leaf. He's a different man.
Ladies and gentlemen, our final call with Matt is from Tristan. Tristan, what do you got for us?
Hey, what's going on?
You're in Amsterdam, Tristan?
I'm in Amsterdam on a layover.
Nice.
Wow.
Headed to Greece for a wedding.
That's awesome.
Matt, 6'8" Matt, man. What's up, tall guy?
6'8". I wish I was 6'8". I'm maybe 6'5" if I stand up straight.
Man, so I missed the beginning of the show because I was getting off of my plane. But as far as my thoughts on Justin Fields' development and stuff like that, I'm hoping that honestly, I'm just hoping for a 60% completion rate, and then hopefully he can get us more yards per game, ground and air, than Rodgers was getting us last year. So if he could average 250 to 350 in that range, along with the running game, I think that will be in good shape. And again, I do think that the strength of the team will be the defense this year. What we are missing is what the last super chat did say, which is a big holy nada size defensive tackle in that hole, because we've just now put Quinnen Williams in the same position that he was in last year. Instead of being able to play free and wild and instinctual, he's going to try and be a playmaker. Hopefully not. Hopefully coaching can stop that. But, when you're getting frustrated, you're getting double teamed every single play because nobody else can pick that up, you're going to, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to play out of turn. You're going to do different things because you're used to being a playmaker. Yeah, that's what I got on it as far as today.
Matt, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would love to see, like Tristan was saying, with a combination of both the passing and the rushing attack, for Fields to be in that 250 to 350 range, I think is a fair expectation. I'm hoping, or not necessarily hoping, but based on what the coaches have been saying, I think they're going to have him throw more than what they did in both Pittsburgh and Chicago. And I'm curious to see how he does with that. But the run game is always going to be a part of his game. It'd be silly not to utilize that with the strength that he has in his legs.
So do we need another veteran wide receiver? I mean, I don't see us adding a veteran wide receiver. Do we need another one to go aside so that we don't become one-dimensional Garrett Wilson?
We all feel like they do, but internally they don't seem to think that.
Yeah, I would be surprised if they added another receiver. I'm not against the idea, but I don't think that's the route that they're going to go here.
Also, respect to Tristan for calling in from Amsterdam to talk about the Jets in June. If that's not a diehard Jet fan, I don't know what is.
Yep.
Tristan?
And I'm absolutely cooked right now. I'm so tired of this overnight flight.
Well, have a great time in Greece, man. That's awesome.
Yes, sir. If I could tap in again, I will. If I see you live, I'll jump in there.
You give us a call from the wedding.
Yes, sir.
Enjoy, Tristan.
Tristan, check it in. Love it, man. I'll go live from your wedding. I'll do a show from the dance floor.
From the dance floor, from the Jets creator table, whatever you got to do. I appreciate it, Jake.
Speaking of creators, by the way, Rick Kent, Matt O'Leary is a giant amongst content creators. He's a giant amongst really anyone, but specifically with content creators. I'm trying to think. You're definitely the tallest. There's no one that's close. I don't know how tall Buffalo Jet fan is though, because I never met him in person.
I think he's like 6'2". He's pretty tall, but
he's tall.
Okay. I got him. Will Parkinson's pretty tall. Joe Caparoso is pretty tall, but I think
they both played football in D3, so they're athletes. Yeah, Will's like 6'1", maybe.
I didn't use any of my athletic or height to my athletic game. I don't know. I was like a mid high school baseball player. That's my athletic career.
I was thinking of YouTubers, but right. If we throw like Will in there and Joe, they got to be right there. You're saying BGF is tall. I don't know. I've never met Ian from Jet Central in person. I don't know how tall he is.
I don't know how tall he is either.
Tyson is like 5'9", maybe. Tyson Rouch.
Yeah, he's not
5'8", 5'10". Trying to think, who am I missing who might be tall? Ryan is like my height. Green Bean is like my height. Connor Long is pretty tall.
He'll get there once he hits his growth spurt.
Yeah, he might actually end up being one of the tallest content creators. He already kind of is, and he's in 8th grade.
Nick Shine's pretty tall, actually.
Oh, Nick Shine. Yep, Nick is tall. Are we missing anyone obvious here?
I don't think so.
Bobby Midnight is not very tall. Charles Gorman is not very tall.
No, cross them off.
We got to be missing maybe an obvious one. I don't know. Well, if I think of it, I'll let you know.
Sounds good, Jake. Thanks for having me as always, man. I appreciate hopping on with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Matt O'Leary with us in his weekly spot. Matt, you're the man. Everyone go subscribe to his channel, Matt O'Leary NY. If you're an Islander fan, first pick in the draft, check out Matt's hockey podcast as well. I tune in because I need to figure out who they're taking number 1. OG Jet fan. This is our guy, Tommy. He's in the raffle for one. Thank you, Tommy. Reminder for those of you just tuning in, we've only done this one other time. A full-size Broadway Joe helmet. I wanted to do something nice for all the diehards who are watching Jet content in June. It's lean right now, so we're giving away our top prize we could give. Signed Joe Namath, full-size helmet, plus a signed Walt-Clyde Frazier jersey, signed Kevin Mawai, Hall of Fame inscription jersey, and a signed Bart Scott jersey as well. Rich says, don't forget to hit the like button. He's right. Click the like button. It helps the channel grow. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Now, Jason in Jerusalem has called in, but he doesn't want to be on the air. Instead, he'd rather just show these images on the screen that he used ChatGPT to make. Thank you very much, Jason. This was the original photo. This is me as a Muppet. This was the original photo. And this is me and Family Guy. Love it. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. Pork of the morning is next. What's up, Pork?
Hey, Jake, how's it going?
Hey, Pork.
Quick talk about the offensive line and how important it is. Like, every time that we made the playoffs, we had a great offensive line or even won in the playoffs. Like, looking back in the late 90s, we had Mawai, when we had Curtis Martin. He was a big part of the line. And then, 9 and 10, we probably had the best line in the league. We didn't have a great quarterback. Our weapons were pretty good in 10, but not like in 9 they weren't as good. I mean, it's the last time we really had production out of the tight end when we had Dustin Keller. So I'm hoping with this new guy that we got coming in within a couple of years, Taylor's going to be a stud. That's what I'm hoping. I guess that's what the pick is hoping too. Just from what I'm hearing, people don't think Membu's a good pick and whatnot. He was the best pick that we could have taken. I wanted the tight end, but that was a flashy pick. That was more of a want than a need. But like a lot of people have been saying, if we could have, top 10, top 5 O-line, we'll have a 1,200-yard rusher. And if we have that, we'll be in the playoffs.
Well, think about it like this. The Jets have not had a 1,000-yard rusher since Chris Ivory in 2015.
Yeah, about 10 years. And we should have made the playoffs that year. We had a great team. We just couldn't put it all together in the end. But if we could get a 1,000-yard rusher, 1,300-yard guy, 1,300 yards out of Brees Hall, I'm telling you, we'll win 9, 10 games just out of that. If we control the ball, run a lot, which I think that they're going to want to do. That's my theory on it. So,
well, the coaching's going to have to be awesome. That's what you're talking about is like a well-coached team that could scheme up good runs and have the O-line be well-coached. Steve Heiden's the new O-line coach. Like he has a really important role in that. Like the development of Membu falls on him. Like he's in charge of that.
Yeah, the coaching is going to have to be the glue to the team. We're really going to have to, take the identity of Aaron Glenn, basically. That's what he's trying to do here. He's the leader of the team, no doubt. Let's see how he does on the field emotionally. The last coach we had couldn't keep his emotions in check. Saleh. He just, we went off for a little bit. Saleh couldn't keep his emotions in check. I don't know if you noticed that. He loses his mind sometime, and then the rest of the team loses their mind.
Well, he'd be stoic, too. It just never felt like he was engaged at times. I don't know. That was the body language.
Yeah, definitely. But, I'm excited about the season. I always am. Last night, second place in trivia, $20 win, so I'll take that.
Let's go.
Tonight is darts again, so we'll see. I got some new flights coming in a bit. I came in second place last weekend in the month-end tournament, so I was happy about that. The goal is Vegas next year, so that's what I'm hitting for.
We believe in you, Pork.
All right. I believe in the Jets. I believe in you, Jake, and I believe in all the AsManiacs. Let's go. Have a great day.
Do you believe in achievement?
Yes, I do. Achievement is a big, you could achieve anything.
Hell, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Pork in the morning. Great call. Open phone lines. There's currently no one on hold right now. D. Stern says, I'm behind, but did Bobby leave the show? What happened to him? He has not left the show. He just doesn't call in that much. He only called in 7 total times in the month of May. Many are wondering, where is Robert Woodruff? And I can't answer that because I don't know. I do know wherever he is, it probably smells.
I'm going to get gonorrhea and kiss on the cheek. Yeah. Oh, I got gonorrhea. Oh, my God. I got gonorrhea. My cheek. Gonorrhea. You have to have sex to have gonorrhea.
Nobody really knows. Nobody. Pat says, LOL, I miss Bobby's calls. He'll be back. They always come back. He will be back. And when he comes back, the show will be forever changed. Hector says you're going to know me soon, Bobby.
Oh, that's it, right, Hector. How am I going to know you soon, Hector? Well, just show your face on camera, you chicken ass. Ooh, big deal. I'm a big man. I'm typing in chat.
Gator writes in chicken ass. New cartoon coming to Max this fall. Open phone lines. Last chance to get in here. We are back this afternoon. Jeremy Jets Chaos will join the program. So I'm excited about that. Ralphie writes in. Bobby calls in May 7th. 7 boobs on screen in May. So, I see what you're saying. Bobby's boobs on screen in May 7th. Yeah, it's true. Fair point. JC is on the line. Hello, JC.
Hey,
the
how's it
Bills
going?
fan guy. What's up, JC?
Yeah, not too much. No, and I was going to even say there's a reason why a lot of other fan bases join these panels is because we don't have shows for our fan base. Like, there's no shows for the Bills.
JC, it might be because your internet is trash in Buffalo, which is why I guess you guys don't have those shows. So try and call back, and I'll get you on. But that's not true. You guys have Dan Mitchell. He does Bills live streams, doesn't he? I met Dan at the Super Bowl this year. He does content with Richie, who we like because he's a Jet fan. I will just end this show since there's no one on the line right now. So last chance. Reminder, join the Patreon if you want discounted tickets for Jets and the Bucks. I'm going to have a link soon with where people could purchase tailgate tickets for game day morning as well for anyone making that trip. Another quick plug to share the podcast with folks who maybe listen to audio podcast on either Apple or Spotify. You can find our show there. It's what you're watching now, but just the audio version. Super chat from Bino, who says, Jacob, I emailed you a photo of Skip's birthday party in 2024. Okay. I see what you did here. So for those who are just tuning in, Bino is a pet rock. He celebrates the Pet Rock's birthday party every year. And this is why Bino is unable to attend little Joey's birthday party. This was last year's birthday party for the Pet Rock. Looks like a tremendous time is being had here.
You son of a bitch!
Yeah! All right. On that note, thank you to everyone who's tuned in today. We will be back this afternoon with Jeremy Jets Chaos. Again, thanks to the best listeners in sports for tuning in. Thanks to Matt O'Leary for joining us. If you have any questions about the Carolina game or the Tampa game, please reach out. My email, as always, is in the description for this video. I'll talk to you guys next time. Jets. Jets, Jets, Jets. Mets 2128. Oh, boy. Hello, Mets.
I'm going to be blunt. For me, this is a bittersweet moment. On the one hand, since 2022, I've been calling for the guy I've called a Tin Man to be sent to the junkyard. But on the other hand, I didn't want it to happen like this. I mean, my reason for wanting him gone, think about it. You play Josh Hart for 96 games out of 100 in the starting lineup when he's clearly not built as a stretch four. He's built as a bench player. Instead of leaving Mitch on the bench even when he got back from the injuries, to basically play second fiddle to Cat in the middle. That's
Are you trying to argue that Mitchell Robinson is somehow a better player than Karl Anthony Towns?
at least on the defensive end.
Yeah.
Not the offensive.
Right. Which player was third team All NBA this year?
Cat.
Which player averaged 22 and 14 in the playoffs?
Cat. But
So what exactly is the criticism there? I'm just trying to follow.
overuse of Hart.
Fine. That is fair. I feel like Mitch should have played more than Josh Hart in the fourth quarter of that game 6. That to me is not a fireable offense for a guy who just won 51 games and had this team in the conference finals for the first time in 25 years.
And then, of course, the very counterproductive mentality of playing every regular season game like a postseason game 24/7. Long term, there's going to be consequences to that.
What were the consequences? Being the healthiest team left in the postseason?
Overtaxing the front five.
They were healthy. How were they overtaxed?
You look at how we were playing. I mean, those five were playing anywhere from 37 to 45 minutes a game a night. It was frustrating for me.
But they were healthy. They were not injured. Did they collapse in game 1 because of Tom Thibodeau? Because they played their starters?
You need to get somebody out of there to pivot defensively to another piece instead of leaving the core five out there all the time. And the few times you did bring in Mitch and Deuce, it was only for like for very minimalistic bursts. And then the fact that the guy seldom, if ever, went to a 9 or 10-man rotation. I mean, for me, the fact that he barely used guys like Achua, Shamet, etc. for the bulk of the playoffs.
Do you think these guys are really good NBA players?
No, but I'm just saying they could be spark plugs in terms of giving the other guys he used constantly a little bit of a brief.
They beat the Celtics in 6 games, right? If your criticism for the Indiana series is he could have used his bench a little more, fine, that's fair. But then from game 3 on, he did use his bench.
But the fact that it took him that damn long to do it is what frustrates me.
But eventually, he did it. So that's a fireable offense in your eyes? Hey, if it is, I mean, the Knicks agree with you, Mets 2-1-2-8. I don't think that's a fireable offense. I think Tibbs could be too stubborn at times, but I'm also not going to sit here and act like he's not the best coach they've had in 25 years and probably deserved another year with this group that he's had 1 year to coach.
Again, I can also throw a good bit of the blame on Leon Rose. Mostly because I call the guy a spendthrift in the offseason, going out of his way to make essentially the same mistakes, even with positive effects, that Isaiah Thomas did. Wheeling and dealing draft capital in desperate get-rich-quick schemes. I mean, think of that.
So are you pro-firing Thibodeau or not? Because now you're criticizing Leon Rose.
I was pro, but I didn't want it to be done like this.
How did you want it to be done? What is it? What is the way to do it? They should have done it the second they got off the plane 2 days ago?
No, I would have wanted it to go at least another couple of years at best, and once the team started to go downhill...
Then what are you calling in? You're calling in talking about how it's the right move, and now you're backtracking saying you should get a couple more years.
I said I didn't want it to be this way.
When did you want it? Did you want it now? Did you want it at the end of next year if they don't make the finals? That's what we're asking you here.
I would have wanted it at least by the end of next if they didn't make the cut.
Then start the conversation saying that it's a mistake to fire him this soon then, not the other way around. You called in to argue with me. You're agreeing with me. They shouldn't have fired him. That he's not perfect, but he's a really good coach, and he probably deserved another year with this group. That has been my argument the last hour and 12 minutes. Mets 2-1-2-8.
All I'm saying is...
What are you saying? You're not saying anything. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth.
How about you quit cutting me off, you son of a bitch?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is this. As badly as I wanted that hunk of junk sent to the scrapyard.
You did it, though. You just said you wanted them for a couple more years.
I would have been more than willing to be patient to play the long con. But only under the condition he'd be willing to adapt and actually use the damn bench instead of leaving it to rust.
Did you want him gone after the season concluded? Yes or no?
Yes and no.
That's not the answer. It can't be yes and no. It's either yes or no. It can't be both.
Okay. Then the answer is yes, but only if it wants
No. It's yes or no. Yes or no.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, he has finally given us an answer. Mets 2128. What a moment.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Bobby and Charles are squeezing their knockers. Bobby and Charles are squeezing their knockers, taking their shirts off. Taking their shirts off. Taking their shirts off. Taking their shirts off. Bobby and Charles are damn sexy. Damn sexy. Let's party. Let's party. Let's party. Let's Bobby and Charles are hot and sweaty. Hot and sweaty. Let's party. Let's party. Let's party.
Whoa now. Now that was pretty wild, wasn't it? I know.